You ever open your banking app just to check something really quick, and then just stare at the screen for a second? Not because something dramatic happened, but because it's lower than you expected. Not catastrophically lower, not call the bank lower, just lower. And you kind of squint at it like maybe your phone made a mistake. Like, wait, how? You got paid recently. You didn't buy a car. You didn't book a luxury vacation. You didn't go on some wild shopping spree. No sports cars, no beach cocktails, nothing dramatic. And yet, the number quietly slid from something like $2,000 to $1,247. And when you scroll through the transactions, it's not one big hit. It's little things. Delivery, coffee, fast shipping, subscriptions, that app upgrade, that just this once ride instead of walking. Individually, completely reasonable. Collectively, well, that's where things get interesting. And I spend way too much time thinking about money, not just investing in numbers, but the psychology behind everyday decisions. Why some people slowly build quiet wealth without feeling deprived, and why others, even with decent incomes, constantly feel like their money is slipping through their fingers. I've been the where did it go guy, which is why I want to talk about something subtle. Something that doesn't feel reckless, doesn't feel irresponsible, doesn't even feel like a problem, but it quietly drains your future. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It doesn't feel like overspending. Here's the tricky part. This isn't gambling, it isn't luxury splurging, it isn't maxing out credit cards. It's constant convenience. Not emergencies, not survival, just easier. You're tired? $20 delivery. Running late? Rideshare instead of bus. Hungry? Pre-cut fruit instead of whole. Shopping online? Fast shipping. Bored? Paid app. Long day? $6 coffee and I deserve it. Every single one of these decisions makes sense. Individually, reasonable. Collectively, expensive. Here's how it works. Morning, you skip meal prep because you're tired. $20. Later, you grab coffee because you're rushed. $6. Night, you order takeout because cooking feels like climbing a mountain. $35. That's $61. Not a bad decision, just a tired decision. And when your energy is low, convenience feels like relief. But day after day, week after week, it becomes baseline. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because when something becomes normal, you stop questioning it. You don't feel reckless, you feel efficient. You don't feel irresponsible, you feel like you're managing life. But quietly, there's a slow drain. Like a tire with a tiny crack, like air leaking out so gradually you don't notice until the pressure drops. That's what this habit does. Why it feels harmless. It feels harmless because it's not flashy. You're not buying sports cars, you're not booking gambling trips, you're not blowing your paycheck in one weekend. You're choosing ease, and ease feels good. Relief feels good. I work hard, I deserve this. And you probably do, but here's the trade most people don't see. It's not money versus coffee, it's not delivery versus cooking. It's future flexibility versus present comfort. And present comfort usually wins, because it's immediate. A $25 habit doesn't feel expensive, but $25 times 30 days, that's $750. $750 times 12 months, $9,000. Pause for a second. $9,000. That's not dramatic spending, that's not reckless behavior, that's just defaulting to easier options. Now stretch that over 10 years, invested, compounded. You're looking at 6 figures. That's the part that hits. Convenience compounds. So does discipline. The question is just which one you're feeding. But my time is valuable. I can already hear the defense, and honestly, I've said it myself. My time is valuable. And that's true. But here's the deeper question. Are you actually buying time, or are you avoiding effort? Because sometimes outsourcing makes sense. If it allows you to earn more, focus more, grow more, that's strategic. But if you spend $20 to avoid cooking and then spend 45 minutes scrolling your phone, that's not time optimization. That's energy management. And most of these purchases aren't time decisions, they're low energy decisions. We avoid effort, we avoid small discomfort, we avoid friction. And we pay for it, over and over. Not because we're irresponsible, because we're tired. The emotional side. This isn't just math, it's emotional. Stress, overwhelm, wanting control when everything else feels chaotic. You can't control the economy, you can't control traffic, you can't control your boss, but you can tap a button and food shows up at your door. That feels like control. It feels like relief. But sometimes what looks like a money problem is actually a stress problem. And if you treat stress with spending, the relief is temporary. The dollars keep leaking. And slowly, confidence drops. You start feeling like you're bad with money, when really, you're just human. Cooking, fixing, walking, waiting. Those small acts build resilience, and resilience builds margin. Margin builds options. The slow drift. Here's something subtle that happens. Convenience shifts from option to expectation. Delivery becomes standard, rideshare becomes normal, fast shipping becomes assumed. And when you try to pull back, it feels like deprivation. Not because you can't afford it, but because your baseline moved. Income rises, lifestyle rises faster. Stress stays. More money, still broke, because the baseline kept drifting upward, and the spend loop kept spinning. This is the math most people never run. $25 a day doesn't feel expensive. $9,000 a year definitely does. $100,000 over time definitely does. Convenience compounds. So does stress. So what do? Not extreme cuts. Not monk life. Not zero spending. Not guilt. Just awareness. Track 30 days. No judgment. Just observe. How often are you choosing convenience? What triggers it? Stress? Low energy? Boredom? Then cut in half. If it's 4 times a week, make it 2 times. If it's daily coffee, make it 3 times a week. Not zero. Intentional. Make it visible. When $200 becomes $100 and that $100 moves into savings or investing, you see it. That's powerful. Because now you're resetting your baseline, not to deprivation, to intention. 2 futures. Picture 2 versions of you. Same income, same intelligence, same opportunities. One lets convenience stay default. The other trims it intentionally and invests the gap. Quietly, over years, they diverge. One has low savings and constant stress. The other has options. Emergency fund, time off, new job opportunities, freedom to pivot. No dramatic moment caused it, just small, repeated decisions. That's the bigger truth. Awareness changes everything. Not guilt, not perfection, just recognition. Is this a real problem or small discomfort? Because small discomfort builds growth. Waiting, planning, cooking, walking, slowing down. Patience, discipline, margin, and eventually, freedom. The real question. This isn't about cutting every coffee. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The real power is in the pause, before the easiest option, before the reflex. Is this worth my future flexibility? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. And every time you say no intentionally, tiny green dollars stack quietly in the background. They compound. Stress reduces, space increases, options grow. That's the quiet magic. It compounds. Not dramatically, not overnight, but steadily. And the expensive habit that feels harmless, it only wins when you don't notice it. So, notice it. Add friction. Pause. Redirect. Not because you're trying to restrict your life, but because you're trying to expand it. Money isn't just spending power. It's breathing room. And breathing room, that's real luxury. And that compounds.